Hello out there, Medfield watchers and listeners. This is Ann Thompson with an edition of Medfield People. And my guest today is someone I think many of you will recognize from seeing around the town on the various streets and highways. It's Bob Kennedy, who's a foreman from the town highway department and grew up here in Medfield, and his parents are still here in Medfield, and he knows a lot about the town. So here's Bob.
Good morning, and thank you, Ann, for having me on. And
So where did you go to school in Medfield? Which schools?
I grew up in Medfield.
Yep.
And I was able to go through the school system.
Were you at Memorial School?
At the time, they were building the Elm Street School, and we did half days at the Memorial School for a few years.
Two of my kids did too. 4th and 5th grade they were caught.
And
so you went to Memorial first?
A walker to Memorial School. I grew up on Green Street in Medfield, and we walked to the Memorial School, and I was the morning session. And from there we moved over to the Dale Street School, which had the big gym at the time, and it's just a beautiful school. And I was a walker the whole time.
So were my kids.
And it's interesting because Mrs. Solari crossed me in school when I was crossing, and she was a crossing guard up to like a year or two ago.
I know.
She must have been a crossing guard for 40 years.
And Elizabeth Mann is retiring.
Mrs. Mann is retiring.
50 years.
Oh, what a woman. Yeah, she was great.
So you walked down to the high school too?
Yeah, walked to the
did you
high school. I was a walker. So and then, I went to the Medfield school systems throughout my childhood. We would walk to the high school and junior high school. I can remember we'd cut through Corning, and I remember the smells of the blacksmith shop.
Bob
McCarthy's shop was running then, and it was a raw coal smell that. In the mornings, it would be drifting down as we were walking to school. And if we were early, we might go over to Medfield Bakery and get some of those hot honeydew.
They were good.
Donuts were so good. And so it was interesting. No buses for us. And we had a little group of guys that walked together.
My kids did too.
And it made for a nice neighborhood feel, too, growing up, going to this house and that house and getting your friend and then going off to school on a daily basis. It's unique.
I think walking to school is the best thing that my kids had. Yeah. Because their friends would often drive their bikes down Pine Street. They'd leave their bikes in my barn, and then they all walk down. And I could hear them laughing and talking all the way down, and see them laughing and talking when they came back.
It was a great part of it.
It was a marvelous part. And they got the little exercise instead of sitting on a bus all the time.
Yeah, we weren't fortunate to be on a bus. And I think part of it was calculated to cut through the swim pond to get the mileage right. But we used to go through Corning. And it was good. It was good. It was a great town to grow up in. And as I was walking to school too, the highway department was underneath the town hall. And I would see all the guys, George DeFinanzi, my father, Bobby Kennedy, and Charlie Grover, and the whole group of them would be out in the yard working all the time. And so daily I'd walk by the highway yard. And as I grew up, I got a job working for the town.
Did you start working in the summers? Is that as a kid?
Yeah,
okay.
I did. My first job was delivering town reports.
On your bike, or?
It was a group of us, and they needed people that, for some reason, they were delivering them to everybody's houses, and there was no leash law. And I was the boss's son, so they sent me up to all the houses with the dogs, I swear.
Woof, woof.
Yeah. I got some running in that summer. It's funny, we gave them out to everybody. And then from there, I was a shoveler in the winter. I shoveled during the blizzard of '78.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
And what they had in school was a work-study program. And I wanted to work for the town when the opportunity came. So in ninth grade, Billy McCarthy, he was the superintendent then, thought I should work at the wastewater treatment plant. So I would go after noontime, and I started working at the wastewater treatment plant for 4 years on a part-time basis, learning. At the time, it was state-of-the-art wastewater, and so there was a lot of testing and chemicals and different things, and I had to learn, and a lot of math. And my career started at the wastewater treatment plant. At the time, the foreman of the wastewater treatment plant was Ken Feeney. And now he's the superintendent of the roads.
Of everything.
And he continues to be my boss. He's been my boss for like 30 years. He's a great boss too, and I'm very fortunate.
He's a good man.
The people that I have. So as time went on, and I graduated from school, I did some other school, and I went to a controlled data, Northeastern, different schools to sort of figure out where I wanted to go. And I ended up getting a job working for the town in 1983 full-time for the highway department. And
you like it, evidently.
I've stayed there since then.
How much do you like it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, it's great.
Is it a 10?
It is. I've been very fortunate. I work with great people, and over the years I've worked with great people. And I believe it starts at the top. This town has great leadership, and they give you the leeway to go out and do these jobs and to help the people in the community. And it's a great town to work for. It really is. I'm very fortunate. And, the selectmen, it starts right at the top and comes right on down. And over the years, I started as a laborer, the boss's son. So, and the guys were older than me. It was tough going for a little while, and they had their fun.
I bet they did. How well did you know Billy McCarthy?
Billy McCarthy was brief in I was young at the time, and I wish I paid more attention to him. Great man. My father, he tutored my father all along through the learning process of coming into a town department that it is today. When they first began, it wasn't anything like it was today with a state-of-the-art garage, and it was underneath the town hall. There was no standards, and Billy brought all those on board and brought us to be what we are today.
Because he grew up on North Street. Very close to where the Montrose School is today.
Yes.
But he grew up there, and he was quite a hero in World War II.
Yeah.
I was writing for the newspaper back then. I tried to get Bill to talk to me about the war, and absolutely nothing.
Really?
Nothing. And his sister told me, she said, I don't think you'll get a word out of him. And I didn't.
Yeah.
He just said, yes, I was in the war. And that was about all he would say. So there must have been a lot of emotional impact of what he went through.
He was a flyer, and they were probably overworked and stressful situations, and he
was a great man, though.
Yeah,
he really was a great man.
I mean, he crashed. He was in a raft for I think 3 days before a submarine picked him up. I heard the story goes. He was quite the man, and his paper is still in the files. The work that he's done
is that right?
Still all throughout the system, and we still carry on a lot of the things that he set up. And he passed away. He passed away when I was young, and
I hate to tell you, I was on that ambulance call.
yeah, heart attack, and a young man by today's standards.
I wish I hadn't been there
Yeah,
because I liked him a lot. I wish I hadn't, but it's the way it works. When your
yeah.
beeper goes off,
Yeah, you
you
did.
respond.
It was tough going with the ambulance back then. You had to run up there
Yeah.
and be timely, and,
Right.
and you were so close. You were literally running up there. You would run to the
Depending on where I was working that day, yep. But I think he was just a great guy to have in the town, because he grew up here too, so he had the same town feeling that you've got.
Yeah.
The town is all, I wish I'd grown up here.
He walked to work, so it was my father always said he would drive him crazy, they'd try to keep the sidewalks clean for him. He would notice things that no one would notice, and it was a challenge to work for Billy at times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would think it probably was.
And same with Ken, they're very caring. They brought Ken along after Billy passed away. Ken Feeney moved into the superintendent's position, and he's been a great boss. And we've continued the way Billy set it up. And there's been a lot of changes with the regulations.
But the town's changed a lot since Billy McCarty's day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tremendously.
Absolutely. I still laugh that in certain town meetings, they've voted down sidewalks that were ready to go in the 60s. Now we're going to be building, even this year, we're hoping to do Green Street, and that got voted down at a town meeting. The people thought differently.
Green Street is my #1 priority because of the kids walking to the swim pond.
Yeah,
And the sidewalks on the left side of the street as you walk to the swim pond, they're really horrible.
Yeah,
Because I used to walk there with the dog all the time.
yeah. It's not to the standards of today.
No
with
way.
the
But
ADA
it dips and
the
there are holes
wheel
and
gain,
it's angles
no
off.
curbing.
Right.
It's one of the projects we're hoping to do this year is we have the plans and we've done the permitting, and so there's going to be new sidewalks on Green Street. It'll be a good job when we're done, and it'll make the road a lot safer. And I'm hoping it'll slow the traffic down too. When you narrow the road, it slows the people down.
I hope so.
And it's
Takes
easy
a
to
lot.
drift, Yeah. And there's a lot of walkers on there with the swim pond.
I know they and the school kids.
And the school kids.
Kids going to soccer practices or baseball or whatever.
Yeah, it's an active area, and there's so many walkers today. The doctors are telling you, go out and walk.
Absolutely.
We want you out there walking, and people are doing what they're
I know they are.
told. And there's 10 times as many walkers as there used to be. And so that's been one of our priorities, really, in the last 10 years, is making sidewalks. The jobs that I've done with you guys and in the town has been great challenges that I enjoy and the guys enjoy. We have a really capable crew of guys, and the town's been buying the equipment that allows us to take on some of these jobs that saves the town a lot of money in the long run, because
Absolutely.
we're doing it in-house with our people, and we can work with the people, the abutters, and not have a change order, or it's a lot more easier to work with the people when we do it ourselves.
I think you're right.
And
How did you like this last winter? The weirdest thing is, all the time I was a selectman, I used to get complaints about everything, but people are stopping me. I'm not a selectman anymore, as you know, but they would stop me and say they have never, ever seen a highway department do as good a job as the town of Medfield did this past winter. It made me, I left Ken Feeney several messages to that effect. People are raving about the effort and the experience that they showed.
Yeah, you got to hand it to the guys. It's I'm so proud, that they stood up and performed like Superman, you know, with the snow all came at once.
Every weekend.
It kept coming every 3 days, and the roads were getting narrow on us, and we're trying to fight that back, and the endless hours of plowing and removing snow, and the guys were getting sick. They were physically getting so worn down that the bodies couldn't fight it off. You know, they were coming up to me saying, "I'm really sorry, I can't stay. I got to go home," and they felt bad about it.
Yeah. No, but they had to. I mean, you're
they
absolutely
couldn't
right.
do it anymore. They couldn't do it anymore, and it's something to be proud of. You know, we have great workers, and they're proud of their roots.
Where did
they
dump?
want it to look good.
Where do they dump most of that snow?
We were able to dump most of the snow behind the transfer station.
Okay, some there, I know.
And then we were able to get rid of some at the state hospital, at the highway garage.
Okay.
We were running out of space for the snow this year. We had so much snow.
I know.
We couldn't push it up fast enough, bringing it in.
And load after load, taking it out after you piled it up.
Yeah, and we cleaned the center in Medfield, which I think is great for the people and the stores uptown. I know appreciate it.
Absolutely, they did.
And there would be flooding uptown if we didn't get rid of that snow. It's very flat, and so we've always cleaned the center, and it's a challenge.
We
And
just
then
did
do the narrow roads too. We'll remove snow on Green Street, Pleasant Street, South Street, and where the crosswalks are, and just try to make it so it's safe for the people to get across the road. The banks were getting so high, you couldn't see.
That's all right.
You couldn't see around the corners, and just a real challenge to keep up with the snow this year.
And you folks were up for that challenge. There's no question about it.
And my dad, my dad has been here for so long. He's a master at snow, really is, and he just knows and has been through so many storms. He's been doing it for like 60 years, He's just shepherded this town through so many events, and I've been very fortunate to have him to teach me how to, do these things.
Absolutely.
It's a unique snow removal, snow plowing, and how to do it correctly is a lesson over time. You learn each storm's very different, and how to do it efficiently is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And the schools, we want to have schools, and the superintendent Jeff is assertive, trying to get schools in. He wants to have school and to get everything plowed up and ready to go in time. It's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. Yeah, so the swap area is working well at the dump, thanks to you guys. You guys have done a lot for the swap area, and which saves the town money because then we don't have to dump it someplace.
Absolutely. The new addition to the swap area is a 30 by 30 tent, so they'll be able to save some of the things longer and give people a longer viewing time for some of the stuff, so it's not out in the weather. We set that up this year, so that's a big. I think that's going to be a great addition
I do too.
for them. And the volunteers are great. They're very active. They keep everything clean. Minimal work for our guys, and things that go through there, and if it doesn't get used, get recycled. They go to the right spot. The town is recycling more now than it ever did. The numbers of recycling are going up, and the trash is going down. So
we just wish we had a way to calculate the amount of weight that we are swapping.
I know.
In other words, if people pick up a lot of dishes or pots and pans or blankets or whatever, and we don't count that as recycling, but it is.
Absolutely.
But we don't have any way to measure it. We're trying to figure out there's some way that we can do that.
And it's difficult where it's so fluid. People are
Absolutely.
coming and going, and like to keep track. Or sometimes it's so active there. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah, well, when one of my kids moved out, we brought the stuff over to the swap. We couldn't even get it out of the car because people were saying, "Well, what do you got? What do you got?"
Sure.
And I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
It saved them money, and it made it easier for us. And
Yeah, and it's a good activity for people. They enjoy it. They enjoy helping. They enjoy filing. It's a great volunteer organization that just grassrooted in there.
It sure did. How about the water treatment plant? You go up there often?
To the wastewater treatment plant.
Yep.
And we worked out of there when they tore down the old garage. When they tore down the old garage, we had to work out of the wastewater treatment plant, and we had to move everything that was in the garage. So we built the new garage where the old garage was, and everything that was in the garage had to be removed from the site. And then we worked out of a trailer for one winter.
Oh, wonderful.
and we worked out of the salt shed. We didn't fill the new salt shed with salt. We worked out of there. We tried to heat it. And that was a cold winter.
I bet it was.
And it was 2 winters ago. It was another tough winter, really.
Yeah.
And so now we're trying to clean up the back of the wastewater treatment plant. And one of the projects this summer is to get in solar panels.
And that is a great idea.
Yeah.
It really is.
And-
We're very
and
much in favor of that.
Where that is going to help with the power load on the
Absolutely.
wastewater treatment plant. There's all kinds of big pumps and filters, and there's a tremendous amount of power that goes into that system to purify that and get that so that it's good water. And it's just an ideal spot for the solar panels. So one of the projects this summer is we're going to try to make an area in there, and they have got some matching funds, I believe it is, or some state money to help us put up these solar panels. And Andrew Seaman, he's the new energy guy, is spearheading that
He seems
job.
like a good man.
Good kid, really into
Good
it.
kid.
Yeah, young man. And so that's another one of our projects. We've done so many, and it's,
I know. It's amazing how different it is.
crazy when I start looking around.
Because I remember when we moved here, we threw our trash down that hill.
And burnt it. There was and buried it.
At the
And-
old dump, yep.
Yeah, my dad used to talk about the fires that would burn the trash when he first was working here, and the wind would get going, and then other areas would catch on fire, and they'd have to go down and put out the
I
dump
remember, yeah.
fires all the time, and then we started filling it with the daily cover, and the old landfill slowly filled up. And the DEP, with the regulations, we were, I don't want to say forced, but we chose to cover it, and the town did that in-house, and that was one of my first big jobs that I ran by myself. It was a good job, and we were able to cap it to the standards of the day, and now it's a nice flat area and good place to go for a walk or fly a kite. And that job, the engineer thought we saved $800,000 for the town when we did that back then.
I would bet so.
Yeah, that was a great one.
What project are you the proudest of? That one or which one?
You know, it's hard to say. And after that, we went up and we did 56 acres. We made all those ball fields.
I remember that.
And that one's a great one.
Remember
And
the trash that was in there?
it
The
was a
bottles
terrible
and-
job, you know. And there was it was in different phases of being completed because we were trying to do it in kind services, and the Army was up there for a little while doing
Army
it.
Corps of Engineers, yeah.
Yeah, and they would just come on weekends, so it was hard to get it done, you know. And then they turned it over to us, and we put 2 years into it. And now it's a nice facility, you know. It's and that's awful rewarding because so many people use it. And we had the fireworks down there. All the guys that made it, we had a little cookout that night. And it was quite rewarding to have all the people there and the kids rolling down the hill. And that's a good one. It was more repetitious. It wasn't as challenging as, say, the culvert. We built the culvert on Causeway Street. And we had to, that one was technically very challenging.
I was going to say, that was a big job, I know that.
And it was out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a culvert in a wetland, a swamp. Mm-hmm. And the old bridge was sitting on 8 feet of peat that had to be removed. We had to move the river, relocate the river, and then bring it back. So that one was very challenging, and that was in 2004 or so, and that still looks very good.
It does.
And that was like making a castle in the middle of a swamp. You know, it was all precast structures, and we had cranes, and it was very challenging.
But it got done, and it's still there.
Yeah, it did. It did, and it's going to be there for a long time. It looks great, and it's holding up great. And one of the things, the town guys, we just have to do it right. You know, we don't have to make money doing it, and sometimes that's, you know, a big difference. You know, we want to do it right, and we have to live with the results. We're not going to go to a different town when we're done. We're going to maintain it, so we want it to be right. And it's very. That was a good project. There's so many of them. I forget. We made the park where the church is. That's rewarding. Right next to the library. They tore down the old St. Edward's.
Which I was sorry to see go.
What a church. A beautiful building, and the smell in that building.
But I love that old building.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then we went into there was an abandoned building. It was just a lot by then. They tore it down, and it was just an open scar uptown. And we built the gazebo park there with the brick walks, and planted all the trees and the drainage, and
lots of changes.
Yeah, over the years, and the road reconstructions that we've done.
Were you involved at all with the new Route 27, or was that before your time?
So that was my dad. He was. And that's about
when they built
one of the garages. Yeah, it was in the early 70s.
And I came here in the middle 60s.
Yeah.
I remember it. Because I lived on North Street, and it used to be Route 27.
Yeah.
And we were thrilled.
Imagine the traffic if they didn't change that.
It was still heavy traffic now, but it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it's a tough road.
But I think it was better for the downtown businesses to have that Route 27 the way it is now. I think it was much better.
Yep, that was a gigantic job. And,
I bet it was.
Big fill job, and they were building the old highway garage back in the early 70s. I can remember. I wasn't working there, but because my dad was, I would go down with him, and they were building Route 27 and the new garage around the same time, I think.
I think so too.
The garage was there, and then 27, but
I'm trying to remember it now.
Not too far apart, and that garage served us well. It was a tin building, and with all the salt that we used, it struggled, just because of what we are, you know. But we got 40 years out of that building, and it was getting time to get rid of it when we did. The garage before the one we have today, to retrofit all the DEP regs and for the environmental concerns, to bring a maintenance facility up to the standards that they wanted would have costed us millions by the time we were done. And that was one of the things that spearheaded the new garage. It just started making more and more sense to build the garage that we just built. And again, that's a job I'm very proud of. That was a job that we did in-house, all the site work and the drainage and a lot of things you don't see. It's underground. You know, there's a lot of pipes and infiltration systems and a lot of things that help the environment now. And that whole site is compliant with today's standards.
Which I'm sure the old one was not.
No, it was difficult
the rules
to try to
change.
keep it up, you know.
Right.
It was just, and the rules changing
They
all
do.
the time. And a lot of people think, oh, the town's exempt. We're the first target, you know what I mean? They come after us first. And same with enforcement. They want us to enforce for the state. And it just puts burdens on us. But the new garage is awesome. It's right now we're sharing it with the fire department. Well, they built a new public safety building, so we weren't in it by ourselves for very long, but it's working, and we're making do. The fire department have been very good guests, and we're going to make it all work. And the guys are thrilled. You know, they have a nice, clean kitchen, good facilities, a wonderful repair bay, along with, you know, good heating systems and good clean air. So it's a great facility, and I got to thank the people on the building committee and the selectmen like yourself for keeping an open mind and helping to vote for it. You know, I know during the town meetings, I always look towards the selectmen for how they're voting, because that's what you know more than we do about things, you know, and it's same with the warrant committee. You know, those guys are spending all that time in there. When you see them vote for it, you got to think they have the best interest.
I have a daughter on the warrant committee.
I
Did you know that?
I do, and she's been doing great.
Good.
Yeah, no, I've been hearing good stuff, that she's smart and she's been doing good.
But she enjoys it.
Yeah.
Town government is wonderful. I've had that same feeling about being involved in town government as you do from working for the Public Works. I really, really enjoyed it very, very much, and sounds like you still do. Are you ever going to retire? No?
I have 32 years now, I think, or 31 years, and
You can do another few.
it's a couple 20, right?
Why not?
Yeah, no, I'm in no hurry. Everything's good. I'm still a young man, and I love it. You know, the people are great in Medfield, and you know, we're vested now. Like, my dad's still working, and you know, he's got a lot of time in now, and he's just vested. He has so much into this town. He's built the town, and I just feel like has a hard time letting go of something he built, you know, and so, but I'll be here.
I hope you are. But thank you so much for coming and talking to us today.
Thank
and
you,
I
Ann.
hope people in Medfield, if you see Bob, give him a yay or a standing ovation or whatever if you see him around. I think that would be great, because he stands for a lot of people that work for the town highway department, and they do one super job. They really do. So I thank Bob very much for coming today. And anybody else that has any ideas for a future show, just give me a call or email annmedfield@verizon.net. And thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Richard DeSaga, and you are watching Medfield.tv.